So we ended up picking up a last minute Jeep that needs some work. I drove all the way to Montana to get this one, so let's get into it. Another 95, and it is also green, but this one has 145,000 miles on it. They've done the AC delete. Runs great. Interior is in pretty good shape. Just needs some door panels thrown back on, which are all in here. 143,000 miles. Back's in decent shape. Just need some tires, which I have a spare set sitting out in the yard right over there. And then the last couple things it needs is a radiator, because he said there's a leak, and it also needs steering. Other than that, there's just a couple cosmetic things, the biggest one being the fender. Just this fender right here, which what we're gonna do is just pull this off, and then we're gonna bend the fender back into shape where it needs to go. And we'll probably get some more color matching paint, and we'll just paint over that rust there, and then we'll get this bumper put back up in the proper spot. So now I'm filling up the radiator so I can verify where the leak's coming from, just to make sure it's actually coming from the radiator. Yep, it's coming from the bottom. You can see it all leaking out right there. But that's good to know. Always good to verify before you just start taking it apart. I need to go ahead and pull this radiator now. The junkyards are already closed. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon, but if I can get it pulled now, it'll make everything go a lot quicker tomorrow morning once I do come back with the radiator. The nice thing about these Jeeps is they are super easy to pull. It's like 10 or 12 bolts, and peeling it away from the AC cooler, she'll come right out. I got a little carried away and pulled the steering as well, just so that it's ready for whenever it arrives. I think it's going to be like another couple of days before it's even here, but it's out of the way and we don't got to worry about it anymore. Having a hard time getting this track nut up here off, track bar nut. It likes to spin the bolt with the tie rod end, so I just shoved a pickle fork in there and I'm prying down on this end, pulling it towards the ground, and it seems to be working. So we'll keep twisting away at it. So I just happened to find a perfect radiator at the junkyard out of the same Jeep. Doesn't leak, but it is used, so we need to rinse it off. Our perfectly new radiator can be carefully inserted back into the Jeep. There is 2 holes that I am just not able to get this into. Okay. Took me a second to find them, but they're in the hole. Let's fill this thing up with coolant and make sure she doesn't leak. Actually, we need to put this AC compressor on before we do everything else, just to get it out of the way. Boom, boom. Oh, come on. Not so boom there. She's all filled up. Let's see what happens. I actually managed to find an old AC compressor on my parts shelf, which I am like 90% sure works. We'll find out when I recharge it, but it's as simple as just screwing in like 4 or 5 bolts. I sprayed the radiator, the fan's kind of $30 can from Walmart into the motor, which is pulling it all out and causing it to drip on the ground. So I'm gonna run it for a little bit and it should stop. Should, or we have a problem. 30 minutes later, temp's looking great. She's running great. Like always, come on guys, it's a 5.2, of course it is. And no leaks. We wait for the steering to get here in 2 days. Gonna work on fixing this fender. It's dented in a little bit right here, so we're gonna pull it off. We're gonna get this dent out the best we can, and then what we're probably gonna do is order some color matching paint again and get this sanded down and repainted. And probably same with the mirrors and that fender over there, just because they're a little faded. If we can make the color match as much as possible, That is exactly what we want. So let me pull this jerry-rig bumper off of here. Look at that. Just threw a bolt through there. I don't know why. It's dumb. Everyone is smacking something with this side of their Jeep, dude. That's annoying. Anyways, so that's kind of bent in, but I think I can still get those screws, so. Got it. Let's do some body work. These fenders are flimsy enough that I could just bend it back for the most part with my hand, but I did have to use the body hammer to get out all the smaller dents that my hands obviously couldn't get out by themselves. And then I used the pliers on some of the edges. And once that was done, we just started sanding, got everything smooth and ready for paint. Hour later, we are all sanded down. We are nice and smooth. So we're gonna go order some paint for that. And then we got some interior work to do because door panels need bolted on. We need to throw some speakers in, which he has, and just kind of clean it up a little bit. Get this thing basically 90% done. Once the steering's here, all she'll need is an alignment. This visor also, which by the way, factory visor. This thing is badass. Anyways, I just remembered that I did kind of want to paint this. So this might actually be painted. Got our color match from Westco. Looks nice. Got the fender all masked up. Got it hanging with the bungee cord from this nice handy storage rack. And what I did here is I just masked it, but I left a big area. That way I can focus here, but it doesn't leave a hard line. All the overspray can kind of do its thing and help to kind of blend it in the paint as best as you can with a little cheap DIY paint job. So let's get to painting this, and then while each coat dries, we'll knock off a little bit of the interior as we go. Door panels, speakers. The lid just fell off and I caught it in my armpit. That's pretty cool. That's gonna take a couple coats, but we'll get it. It has door speakers already. It looks like for whatever reason, I need to strip this slutty little wire. Just like that. I think we got some good options here. We got 3 of these guys, and we got 1 big ass Phillips. They should work. They are bigger than the hole, so I guess we're just gonna force it in. Speakers in. I think what we need to do is turn the car on and make sure they actually work. Our radio does not want to work. The ground wire issue. We'll figure that out later because I can always just take the door panel back off. Actually, check this out. Looky here. I have a spare, and I know this one works. I might just rewire it on myself because I don't trust people. And this one's already all plugged in and wired correctly. Let's do that right now. Then again, we'll see if this one still works. It's just temporary, don't worry. Yep, that was our issue right there. They didn't hook the ground up. I don't even know if this one's Bluetooth, so it's not. So this is actually an upgrade. I do need to steal this thing. So much better. All right, let's get the door panel on. That's about 2 coats. Obviously, it's still lighter than the rest of the paint. We'll just keep going until it starts to match it. Also doesn't help that I didn't prime it at first, but I really don't care enough, so this will be fine with some clear coat. And I think we're done with the interior. Got the speakers in, got trash cleaned out. I haven't vacuumed it yet, but we'll get there. Actually came with an oil filter, so we'll probably do an oil change. And now, while we're here, we're gonna throw some U-joint axle shafts in here. These are all-wheel drive, so they normally come with your CV shafts, but they're both leaking fairly bad, especially this one. CV shafts are definitely ideal for all-wheel drive. It just makes it, you know, smoother turning lock to lock, but U-joint shafts, they're not too much of a difference and they're a lot stronger, so it's a worthy upgrade. Super easy to take off. A couple 13mm 12 points on the back of the knuckle. You take the brakes off, you hammer it off, and it pulls right out. Slide the new one in, put it back the exact same way you took it apart, and now you have some beefier axle shafts to go beat on. Just finished the passenger side axle shaft, and look what I found. You see what's missing there? They just put in a regular bolt instead of a cam bolt, which is probably why he was having some wobble issues, and it's not even tight on the other side. So I found this on my parts shelf with the cam washer and everything. So unfortunately, I don't know how this one was aligned, so I'm just gonna copy the other one and put it together like that. I mean, it has to get on alignment anyways, so we'll just get it as best we can. Cam bolts in. We also put a new used rotor on. This one, you can see all the ridges. It's bad on both sides, so have this one is perfectly smooth, just some surface rust, nothing the pads won't take off. While we let the fender dry before a clear coat, I'm gonna pull this off and start painting it. With how rare this thing is, I was really tempted to throw it on my Jeep, but then I held it up to my Jeep, and since I already have a light bar on there, it looked kind of goofy. And at the same time, I didn't really feel like drilling any more holes into the roof of my own, so it's gonna stay. I think I'm just gonna leave it at that. It's not as faded. It's a little better. Ain't perfect, but I'm not going for perfect. Still pretty cool. I kind of like how it fades in and out from light to dark. Fender is basically done, just letting the clear coat dry, and she's ready to be put back on. All right, check it out. She's back on. She's on there straight. We got a new bracket for underneath the fender that bolts it to the body, so it holds it out more. And the paint's like a 90% match. So, to me, that's a win. And now we can move on. I have the windshield guy coming tomorrow to do a windshield. So I'm gonna work on getting the bumper back on, get it on there straight. And after that, we'll just wait for the windshield and the steering. And once my sister's done using the vacuum, we can also use that, start cleaning out the interior. Look at that nice, pretty windshield. She's all on. We've got the top all prepped with some goo and ready to go to put the visor back on. So, I'm at eye pole. I need a steering stabilizer bolt and a new center console lid. And that is an exact match right there. It actually opens and closes, mostly. This one is actually not in as good a condition as I thought. So, I think there's another one in another junkyard next to here that is in a lot better condition with lower miles. We'll go look at that. Gotta love when the work's done for you. That's what I need right there. Perfect. You're mine now. That same day, the steering finally came in, so I threw it together, matched it up to the old steering to make sure that it was as close to aligned as possible. Then we went ahead, threw it on there, got everything tight, and did my own little self-alignment just to get it as square as possible before we take it on any test drives so we don't get any uneven wear on the tires. Check it out. Got the steering all adjusted, tightened. Wheels are back on. Last thing we need to do is let it warm up and fill it up with tranny fluid, and then we can finally actually take it on a drive. Let's see if the battery's dead. Oh, it is. Okay, she'll start now. Bruh. That's crazy. Let it sit for a second. Come on, baby, fire up for me. Boom! She's back, baby. Here we go. Shift number 1. Shift 2. And 3rd. She shifts good. And the steering seems to work. So on that test drive, right as everything was about to be buttoned up and done, we lost a freeze plug. It gained a little pinhole, started seeping out. So I had to go order some because nowhere in town carried any, and they were able to get shipped to me over the weekend. And now we can get the old one pulled out and the new one put in. There we go. Freeze plugs finally got here. Unfortunately, a lot of times you have to end up ordering them special from the auto parts store or online. But they came in. I would definitely recommend these brass ones because they expand and contract a lot better in hot and cold temperatures, especially in Idaho. They're really not that much more expensive from a regular freeze plug. That's just the way I like to do it. And when it comes to freeze plugs, you want to do it right and you want to do it with the most quality parts you can find. And these also don't corrode as well as those just regular metal ones do. That one rusted so bad that it created a little pinhole. Now they do have rubber freeze plugs that you can get, but those are more of a temporary fix. I definitely would not recommend using those, especially on a car that you're flipping to somebody, because you don't want a week down the road for that to burst on them. And then that looks bad on you. And then they think they just wasted their money on a lemon. And you don't want that, especially when you're selling the older cars like I focus on. You want them to be mechanically sound. So let's pop this freeze plug in. Freeze plugs really aren't that bad to do. They're just more annoying, but on the older cars like the Jeeps with the 5.2s and the 4.0s, you can access most of the freeze plugs without having to pull the motor. I also like to put RTV around the edge of the freeze plug just to help seal it a little better. And just like that, the motor is officially rebuilt. And for the second time, we are filling the Jeep up with coolant. Unfortunately, most of the coolant that came out when I pulled the freeze plug was already pretty nasty, so I did have to go buy new coolant. But Walmart sells coolant concentrate for like $10, and you end up getting 2 gallons out of it. Oh. So I have to hook up the starter in order to start the car. So I'm gonna do that really quick. Of course, the battery died, so we had to hook up the jumper pack to it. Let's try a bigger one. I'm not playing around anymore. You better frickin' start. Beautiful. We are up at temp. The freeze plug is looking good. JD's and Lenelman, we've done it. No leaks. Got her all washed up. The paint actually turned out pretty good. It has not been buffed, cut, or anything. This is just factory paint, nice and scrubbed. I really should get a buffer though. I would love to see the difference just from putting a little more effort into it. But interior wise, it turned out great too. I feel like these interiors are very advanced for the time frame that these were built in, and they're super comfy. But time to get this thing listed up for sale, and we're gonna see how we do on this one. And as you can see, we have her listed for sale. Guys, pictures are everything. That is what will sell the car. That is what will grab their attention. Make sure they're clear and detailed. Make sure the description is also clear and detailed, and that is what will bring people to your post and get you that sale faster. I posted that Jeep 20 hours ago, and I just sold it. for $2,500. Now, how much did I just make in 1 week off of one car? Bought it for $400, okay? I'm reading off of the window right now because it's very dusty and the camera can't see it as well as I thought it could, which is okay. We put $788.40 into it, which brings us to a total of $1,188.40. Sold it. What did I just say I sold it for? $2,500. Sold it for $2,500, which gives me a profit of $1,311.60. That's crazy. We just made that in 1 week, okay? And imagine doing one of those every single week on average. That's almost $5,000 a month just on this. Crazy. Thanks for watching. That was my final Jeep flip for a little bit, unless a really good deal comes, but I have a lot of projects, including this one. So I'm looking forward to showing you guys those. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Please do, because I really like making videos and I love when people like watching my videos. So see you guys next time.